Travis Wayne Goodsell. So, having found out that I still have a few more days left of internet, that's upsetting to the YouTube Mormon employees or the Russian employees protecting the church who's going to stab Russia in the back. Doesn't make sense. But anyway, they're back to their pattern of misbehavior. It has begun already this morning. This pattern is that the church, thus the Mormon employees, don't like what I am putting on YouTube. It destroys the church. And they don't like it. They want the church to continue to exist in its crimes and sins, and frauds and lies and deceptions and misinformation, etc., etc., etc. And so what happens is that the YouTube employees are on the front line of this attack. And it's a threat. This is what they do. They threaten me. Don't do it, Travis. We're warning you. And I keep doing it because they will not silence me. You know, they can. They did on Travis Wayne Goodsell. But I will not be silenced. Again, I cannot be convinced that I'm wrong. The church is not true. Mormons cannot bear false witness in a false testimony to confound me. I use science. That's why they're upset with me. That's why I'm singled out for these particular attacks. Nobody else. Because nobody else knows the damaging material that I'm coming out with. I just came out with a full exposure of the translation of the Book of Mormon, giving you the actual history behind what the church claims is divine magic. That's what they talk about. The historian guy who has the pages of the original Book of Mormon, and oh wow, it's magic. According to Joseph's own narrative, which we're going to take literally, but then change gold into golden, because he's not literally correct with that. And it's still Moroni, not Nephi, because he's wrong about that too. Joseph Smith is wrong, but he's divine. Anyway, so YouTube employees will tamper with my account, slow down processing. I have to file complaints to get them to stop. They retaliate. It gets worse, etc. So it began today with my video that I put up that I had done last night. And then a certain amount of time will go on after I file my complaints, and then I'll be cyber attacked on my computer. My computer programs, my apps, processing on my computer gets tampered with. I'll see spies signaling that they're watching me. And then, if I still will not back off, YouTube employees then create a lie to cause my channel to be banned. And so it has already begun again. And I don't want to do these videos. I'd rather do other things. But because of the knowledge I have, I must warn to save your lives, even though you don't want me to save your lives, you want to die. And I'm about to go to my death. So even though I have the internet still, I should be doing things to prepare for when I get evicted by the end of this week. I expect I'll get the eviction notice either tomorrow or Tuesday or Wednesday, the 2nd, Groundhog Day, the video I did this morning. And so I fully expect that. I have a new property manager, as the previous criminal ones all lost their jobs. Remember, you work for the church as criminals to do their dirty work. You get fired, you get punished, not the church. And you still refuse to get it. And so, yeah, I should be doing stuff to prepare for when I'm cast out of Utah. But here I am, still trying to warn you to save your lives. And I'm getting a certain number of views and a certain number of likes, but that's not good enough, guys. You need to do more than just like my videos. You have to hear with your ears the words that I'm talking about. And so the previous warning, I did a 7-hour video series about the Book of Mormon Exodus patterns. This one will cover Exodus patterns of the Bible. And I'll focus only on 3: Noah, Sodom, Exodus. The actual Exodus itself. And if you aren't understanding, there is destruction coming. And each and every single one of these Exodus patterns, the people don't believe and want to murder the warning voice, the hero of the story. And so, again, we're still trying to reach out to save as many people as possible. There was floating around the church, and it might have been floating around in Christianity, because it may have come from a movie or something. Who knows the source origin? I don't want to Google search it. It's about a person who has a home, and there is a danger of the dam breaking. And the warning goes out, everybody flee, the dam is about to break. The person in the home says, I have faith in Jesus, he'll save me. Yeah, see where we're going with this already? And refuses to leave. The dam breaks, the waters begin to rise and flood the house. And so he gets on the top of his roof. A boat comes by, says, hey, get on our boat, we'll save you. Oh, no, 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 I have faith in Jesus, Jesus will save me. They have no choice but to leave. Then the floodwaters have completely engulfed the home, and he's floating in the waters. And a helicopter comes by, a rescue helicopter, similar to that in San Andreas, with the rock. And they lower down the rope to attach it to him so that he can be hauled up and rescued by the helicopter. And again, he still says, no, no, I have faith in Jesus. Jesus will save me. He dies and drowns in the water. And so then he goes to the pearly gates, or whatever afterlife your religion is, according to the storyteller of the story, and tells the person there, what happened? I had faith in Jesus to save me, and I wasn't saved. I'm dead. My life is over with. And then, of course, the person then tells the man, I sent you 3 warning voices. You didn't listen. So keep that in mind. The Book of Mormon was written for a specific purpose. That 7-hour video was not just a cute storytelling thing for you. There were multiple patterns of the Exodus pattern. Multiple. All the way through the book. Mormons claim they know the Book of Mormon is true, and yet they don't demonstrate that they know it's true. They denounce it, they deny it in their actions, disregarding the word in the Book of Mormon. They draw nearer to the Book of Mormon with their lips, but their hearts are far from it, denying the message therein. So here we go. This Sunday's lesson for Sunday school just happens to be the part of this topic we're discussing. So we get to do 2 birds rescued with 1 stone. I don't like killing birds. Birds are awesome. So, Noah. This comes from the Egyptian Ogdod creation glyph. According to what they have found in the documents, this version was developed later than the Heliopolis creation glyph, which had existed prior to the oldest documents in existence so far, the pyramid texts. And so, they had a fully developed language, a fully developed religious theology, doctrine, ritual, etc., prior to what we currently have on record. And so Noah is one of the 4 couples. Ogdod is 8 in Egyptian, like octo. The C and G are phonetically the same. Just listen to German. Is it Stalag or Stalag 13 for Hogan's Heroes? And so the 8 individuals, and they were couples, 4 men and their 4 wives. And yes, Noah is patterned after that. So anybody trying to tell you that the origin source is the Epic of Gilgamesh, no. The Epic of Gilgamesh came from the Ogdod story. And so it's just another creation story. It's repeating. Groundhog Day. but it's told with different characters, having different names, and some variations on the pattern of the Exodus. And so the Exodus pattern, we'll go over that with you. The hero of the story is given a warning message from some other source. An angel, God, messengers on earth, a book, some kind of warning to the hero is given. The hero then tries to warn the people. The people reject the message, want to murder the hero because they refuse to believe, and then destruction occurs, and the exodus of those who believed in the hero only get saved. Exodus pattern all throughout the Book of Mormon. And so Noah, wouldn't you know it, has that Paleo-Hebrew N for king, but it's in the prefix determinative position, or the root of the name, the two-letter word for Paleo-Hebrew. And if you're going, well, Semitic Hebrew is 3 letters, Travis. Yeah, Semitic, not Paleo-Hebrew. I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. And then the Oa is not Oa, it's the CH as in Bach, according to the author's Semitic Hebrew. In Paleo-Hebrew, it's the, I think it has the equivalent in Greek. It's the ladder to heaven, so represents heaven. I'm dreaming of a yeah. It's the let's bring it up here. Edda is the equivalent. It's just got the one rung on the ladder rather than the 2 rungs for Paleo-Hebrew, but they're the same equivalent. And so instead of the CH in Bach, it's now the from Edda is the more appropriate pronunciation for the Paleo-Hebrew letter, because Greek and Paleo-Hebrew come from the same origin source before they split off and Greek became Koine Greek. That is me again. Everybody else thinks that Paleo-Hebrew is Semitic and Greek is some other. No. It was not until the Babylonian captivity when the Jews got assimilated, the language got messer-splitzed. Alright, so refuse, Exodus patterns of the Bible. Okay, that's something else. This is another video. That's going to be a funny one. I will not be talking in this one. It'll just be segments. I'll give you a clue. Milestones in church history. All right, Moses 8. So they make the mistake of referring to Noah as meaning comfort, concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord had cursed. Verse 9 of Moses 8. We'll not go over Genesis 6 through 11. We'll stick to the Moses part, as the manual has Genesis listed first and Moses 8 last. And I got condemned by the teacher of all things because of what the Joseph Smith translation changes, which women get instantly offended, as you do not understand what's being said. I did the whole thing about the thigh having to do with the oath of the priesthood. This morning's video. You need to understand this. Women play a vital role in humanity, in the human race. So, let's see. Lamech dies. Noah, 400 years old, begat Japheth, and then Shem, which is the name. Japheth is Yah-Ptah, the Hebrew god Yah and the Egyptian god Ptah. Combo there. And then Cam. So yes, the Bach is back. The CH in Bach is back for Cam. So it's not Ham. And the reason why it's Cam is significant because the Egyptians named Egypt Kemet. The T, which is a feminine singular ending, is also used for land, whereas the masculine in Egyptian doesn't have an ending. Kem. And then Kemet for the land of Egypt. Kem is Egypt. Do you see how simple that was? Why does everybody screw this up? I don't understand. All these scholars, nope. Oh, well, Mitzrayim is in the Bible, and that, we guess, is the two lands, because the im at the end, it could be a double rather than a plural, and we'll just create that so that it sounds good and explains it, but there is no word prior to the author putting Mitzrayim in here, just like Eve. No prior existence of such a person and place prior to the author in the Roman period of the Torah. And so, yeah, get rid of Mitzrayim. Get rid of it. Doesn't belong there. Not a son of Chem. Chem is Egypt. And he divides up the land of Egypt among his sons, where Chem is over Egypt, Canaan over Canaan, etc. It's very simple, not complicated. And notice the biblical author takes Ammon, the Egyptian deity, and moves him into Mesopotamia for his inheritance. And so Abraham then comes out of Shem to come to Chem to take over Chem's land of Canaan. No, biblical author got this all wrong. And so, yeah, we have some explainings to do, but this is not that video. So Noah and his sons hearkened unto the Lord. Ta-da! There's our heroes. Heroes of the Ogdod. And gave heed. So it's one thing to hearken, it's another thing to give heed. And and they were called the sons of God. Ta-da! And when these men, sons of God, Ammon, son Ammon, what? Men? Oh, I don't agree with that doctrine. My belief system tells me otherwise. So you're wrong. Men began to multiply upon the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them. So the sons of God have daughters. And the sons of men, these are the villains of the story, the ones who refuse to believe. And we just had the Cain-Abel murder. Jesus was crucified, his body was cut into 14 pieces, scattered around the earth, and then missionaries of the wife church has to gather in the elect from the four quarters of the earth to restore the kingdom through the Son. And so you have Cain, through whom Noah is supposed to come through, but instead the author created a new child born of Adam and Eve called Satan. Set. King Set. Satan, the adversary. I don't understand what he was doing. Just have him come through Cain. How was that hard? Jacob the usurper did it. You allowed that. Why not Cain being the usurper of Abel's kingdom, and through whom Noah comes through to restore the kingdom of Abel, who was slain? How hard is that for an author to do? Nonetheless, let's see. And daughters were born unto the sons of men, or sons of God. Sons of men saw the daughters of God. Oh yeah, that they were fair. Dear God, I am not putting in the clip by Orrin Hatch in regards to the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, the psychologist who was testifying. What was it? Pleasing to look upon? Oh dear God, what a humiliating embarrassment for Utah. But the SNL skit was hilarious. And took them wives, even as they chose. So these daughters of the covenant are marrying the men of Canaan out of the covenant. Huh. So what do you think is going to happen here? The end of the world. And the Lord said unto Noah, the daughters of thy sons have sold themselves. Prostitution. And this is where the porn industry all joke and laugh. Oh yeah, prostitution is the oldest career field. No. Cain and Abel were working the land and the flock thing before the daughters selling themselves. So no, prostitution is not the oldest profession. Even the metalworking and all that with Tubal Cain and all those guys was before prostitution. What are you talking about? You're just trying to get more people to give you money. So anyway, the Lord said to Noah, thy daughters have sold themselves. And so, for behold, mine anger is kindled against the sons of men, for they will not hearken to my voice. Do you see the difference between a son of God and a son of man? It has nothing to do with actually being born in the covenant. You actually have to listen and give heed. That's the lesson here. Do you not believe it? Oh, it's so true, but I'm not going to believe it. Why are you wasting everybody's time? And so, having the message given to Noah, Noah prophesied and taught the things of God, even as it was in the beginning. The Lord said unto Noah, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for he knoweth that all flesh shall die. There's the warning. People say that the Old Testament God is vengeful and wrathful and murderous. No! You've missed the pattern that's even identified in the Old Testament. Whoever that guy was, who started it all, was wrong. And nobody fact-checked them. Nobody called them out. No, you're wrong. The people didn't listen. And so they died because they didn't listen to the prophets who were given the warning message from God. Alright, and so he's saying, the floods are coming. Build yourselves some boats. But there were giants in those days. And I've already told you, the Egyptian hieroglyphs, they portray the pharaohs, who are the leaders of the people, as larger than life than the regular common folk in the pictures that do not have signs in the sign list. And so, having deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, walked right into Egyptian to add those to the sign list. I am the decipher of those Egyptian signs. And that's what they're referring to here, the author is anyway. And they sought to take away Noah's life. So, wow, the pattern. Amazing. But the Lord was with Noah, but he was still evicted, cast out of Utah, and then the flood came and destroyed Utah. Are you not listening and heeding? The Lord ordained Noah after his order, or his own order. The order of Jesus. It's got to be the name of the church, so it's got to be Jesus, right? It's not Amen, the name Shem. Heaven forbid. So yes, each of those compare to each of the characters. I've already done it. Gary Greenberg in 101 Myths tries to associate them as well, and he doesn't quite get it. So I'm the one who fixed that. But he understood what was going on. Don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing on Gary Greenberg, because his book helped me with some questions, and similar to Joe Samson in his Written by the Finger of God. He has it all wrong with his association of each letter to a person. No, dude, why? What are you doing? But it's awesome for understanding Jewish mysticism and the techniques that are used. He just has the wrong association with each of the letters. Oh my goodness. Adam as Aleph? Please, no, dude. Step down. Let me in. Use science. Okay, so let's see. Lord ordained Noah after the order of Ammon, and commanded him that he should go forth and declare his gospel, the good news. Hey, you're all going to die. Unto the children of men, even as it was given unto Enoch. Good news, everybody, you're going to die. And it came to pass that Noah called upon the children of men that they should repent. Stop not believing. But they hearkened not unto his words. And also, after that they had heard him, they came up before him, saying, Behold, we are the sons of God. Oh yeah? Have we not taken unto ourselves the daughters of men? Ooh. See, this is a twist, isn't it? Diminishing the women and exalting themselves. And are we not eating and drinking because tomorrow we're going to die? Marrying and giving in marriage? Yeah. And our wives bear unto us children. Are they not mighty men, which are like unto men of old, men of great renown? And they hearken not unto the words of Noah. So all sorts of fallacy arguments, not understanding the concept of being sons of God, to pass down the birthright and the blessing. And God saw that the wickedness of men had become great in the earth, and every man was lifted up in the imagination of the thoughts of his heart. Being only evil continually. And they justify the evil by thinking it's good, calling good evil and evil good. And it came to pass that Noah continued his preaching unto the people until his final day when he had to leave. I have to prepare the ark, guys. And here I am trying to warn you in a video. Hearken and give heed. Believe and repent. Be baptized in the name of Jesus. Amen, dude. Amen. Don't confuse people with code words. Because Mormons do not understand code, just like they don't understand parables, just like they don't understand metaphors, just like they don't understand similes, just like they don't understand symbolisms. I mean, literally, section 45, literal prophecy of the future for Jews, or parable, as Joseph Smith tells us it is. Which means it's not Jews, it's Mormons. Case closed. And then, of course, the botched lesson from the Doctrine and Covenants of the parable Joseph gives in section 101, starting in verse 43. Oh, you guys are the servants of the Lord, not the olive trees. Those are the prophets. And the Mormons must protect the prophets from being destroyed by the enemy. And so if Utah's destroyed, it's the Mormons' fault, not the leaders who are the olive trees instead. Oh my God. And it came to pass, Noah and his heart was pained that the Lord had made man on the earth. You know, that's just a mistranslation from the Old Testament that he's trying to divert away from what actually was the translation. Because it's the Lord repented that he had made man in the Bible. And it's in correct translation. but they don't put the real translation corrected here. Joseph Smith had not learned Hebrew yet. Senior knew some Hebrew, but apparently they didn't have enough to know how to translate from the Hebrew text of the Bible, and they didn't have one until 1835. Joseph had some bought so that they can learn Hebrew, and it ended up being Rabbi Sykes', whether it was Josiah or Joshua. I think it was Josiah, but regardless. And so, yeah, there comes a point where the warning message ceases. And I tried to tell you, and you weren't listening, but I got an extension. So are you now going to listen? The great city of Utah will never be destroyed. The priesthood will not be taken from the earth again. Yeah, dear God. The enemy has already told us their whole plot for this year. And you still aren't going to believe them? You believe them, but you don't believe them. It's like, storm the Capitol? No, they would never do that. Oh, no, they're just tourists. And so, yeah, he eventually has to build the boat and leave because time's up. Alright, let's get to Lot. Okay, so for this, we have to go to Genesis 18. And some men come and tell Sarah that she got pregnant from somebody other than Abraham. And she puts on a mocking laughter so that Abraham won't be suspicious. Okay, and so yeah, there's Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. But thou didst laugh. Alright, then men arose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I should do? Well, he's far enough away that he won't be affected by the slaughter. And no, it was not for homosexuality. Ezekiel chapter 16. It was because they were filthy rich and neglected the poor that God destroyed them. Alright, and so seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, the whole thigh thing, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him. Okay. The Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me. And if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before the Lord. So Abraham drew near and said, so Ammon, the mortal man, mortal parent Christ, is there at this thing. He's involved with these three men. And he's before Abraham. This is Pharaoh again. Pharaoh stood before Abraham. Pharaoh gave Abraham the new name. Pharaoh was the one to whom Abraham paid tribute after rescuing Lot. Pharaoh, Pharaoh, Pharaoh. He's Melchizedek. He's the one ruling over this land of Kemet. And so Abraham tells Pharaoh, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? And there's some more rambling about righteousness with wicked. And then the Ammon, Pharaoh, says, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then will I spare all the place for their sakes. And so Abraham then says, peradventure, lack of 5 and 50 righteous. So 45. Will you destroy it for that? Nope, I will not do it. And then 40. Nope, will not do it. And 30. No 35? Nope, I won't do it. And 20. Nope, won't do it. And then, please don't be angry with me. Don't smite me. I will speak but this once. Again. Peradventure 10 shall be found therein. I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And thus came the video. 9 are left in Utah. It's ready to be destroyed. Video, if you remember that one. You guys are given plenty of time to prepare. But you will not believe. You may like the video and think, cool, thumbs up, but you don't believe. The Lord went his way as soon as he was left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. So, ta-da! Lot entertains. No. My mom used that word when a female came over to visit me one day. She said, something about how was your entertaining of the woman? And it was weird the way it was just wrong. You're my mother. Don't talk to me. And now she's dead because she would not hearken to my voice. At 77 years old, on the winter solstice, still is weird. And there came 2 angels to Sodom. And Joseph Smith translation says 3, because the previous experience, the 3 men talking to Abraham. And so it is 3 according to that. And one of them is Pharaoh. They came to Sodom at Omega time, the setting sun, between the 2 mountains. And so it's the latter days. And they tell us, latter days. That's the symbolism here that's given. Messengers come to Sodom in the latter days to warn. You must leave. And so Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground, because that's what you do before Pharaoh. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into my servant's house, and tarry all night. Wash your feet, and you shall rise up early. And this is just cultural politeness. And unleavened bread, just like it at the Exodus, the feast of the Exodus, unleavened bread with lamb for the latter days. The marriage supper feast at the temple of the Lamb and his bride. Men of Sodom compassed round about. And this reveals the Roman period authorship, because that's when men were sacral prostitutes. But people used their religious bias to impose into the past what did not belong. Deny science and want science changed. We want to know them. And I have daughters. Don't you want my daughters? And so, yeah, it's for sacral prostitution. It's not for raping or orgies. But, yeah, those were in the Roman period, too. So the men put forth their hand, pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. And I always remember Riverton, where a writing competition was held for those who won at the school levels. We took a field trip, and my mom came with me on that one to be a chaperone. How dare you! And so a couple of friends and I, we had time, so we left. Didn't want to look at everybody else's stuff, and came to the town, and it was an older town, quite classy. And we went into a souvenir store and saw that there were stairs leading up to a room loft. And let's go check it out. So we went up the stairs, we got to the door, and opened it, and a guy was coming out of it and said, "Don't come in here, boys, you'll go blind." And I didn't know my Bible story well enough to know what he was referring to. He was referring to the story of Lot here, where the men who want to have sex at the temple, let me read it, verse 11. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. I, by the way, had peeked in the door and saw that it was old classic pinups. That's an awesome collection. Nothing sinful about that, but I don't understand why I would go blind. Hogan's Heroes had a pinup, a poster version. I was like, wow, that is a very nice poster. But yeah, it was funny. They purposely planted it so that it would be found by the Gestapo that did a surprise raid on their barracks. So they were teasing him. The radio had a thing pop out at him. And then a note saying, "Oh, you thought this was a radio, did you?" Hilarious. So you do understand why I'm watching Hogan's Heroes. They're trapped in a camp, but trying to win the war by staying in the camp. If you're not caught on yet, alright. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides? Son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out. Time to leave. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of the Lord. See? Peniel, or Penuel, depending on the vowels that were put in the Phi video. This is Pharaoh, this is Ammon, and the Lord had sent us to destroy it. So now they're leaving out Ammon, because the author put 2 men instead of the 3. And Lot went out, and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. You're so condescending, Travis. If you would just be serious, we would listen to you. Would you? Would you? I doubt it. You want me to change so that you can silence my voice, as you are making excuses not to believe and listen. And then heed. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife. Here we come to the great Salt Lake. And thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth, and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain. Everybody thinks that Sodom is right there at the Dead Sea because of all the salt. But it's a mountain range, not a mountain or the mountain. This is not a literal history. This is an apocalyptic literature story of the latter days. This is why it was included in this video for you, Mormons and ex-Mormons. Don't think that Mormons are going to be singled out for destruction. If you're living among Mormons, get out, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my lord. Behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight. Thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast shewn. I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Yeah, Laman and Lemuel made that excuse. You took us away from our home and our gold and silver to die in the wilderness. Just a bunch of whiny complainers. The city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? My soul shall live. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also. I will not overthrow this city for which thou hast spoken. So They're not going to destroy the one city. Do you see what they're doing here? They're talking about a campaign of Pharaoh to conquer and make sure they give tribute back to Pharaoh, because they've been bad and they've not been given tribute. That's why they were filthy rich and neglected the poor, but also neglected to give tribute to Pharaoh. So Pharaoh's going out, and that's the story that he's not understanding and merging and background and such forever. Amen and amen. Okay, so the city was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. Comet strike? Volcanic eruption that spewed the hot lava rocks? Doesn't matter. Except what would happen to Utah. These are the patterns. Destruction is coming. You have to get to Zion. You have to build Zion. That's the whole point of this. Zion is not built. Nelson says, oh, well, Temple Square is Zion. Yeah, no. It is not a place of safety, refuge, and peace. It's not Zion. You're not a prophet, seer, revelator, and translator. Especially translator. Dear God. You are the false Christ, the false prophet. Alright, so the cities are destroyed, but his wife looked back from behind him and became a pillar of the Dead Sea, Great Lake, Salt Lake. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord. And he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward all the plain. The smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. The day of the Lord shall be as a burning of a furnace. From Malachi. Alright. And so now to the Exodus. And we'll take a bathroom break and be back. Okay, so I hope you understand that the fire from heaven, whether it be meteor showers or volcanic rock, they symbolize the falling stars of Lucifer, the demons that followed after him and fell from heaven. And that's why wickedness is associated with falling stars and falling destruction, for the destruction of the wickedness of the people. That's a reinforcement of the story that if you're wicked, you have fallen and will be destroyed by falling destruction. Sort of like Toilet Seat Girl on Dead Like Me. That was cool. Good show. Cut short, because we were just starting to get into the little gremlin creatures and what was with them, and you can see that they create them. The Reapers create them by taking the life of someone who doesn't have a little post-it note. And that she was able to destroy the one just by reaping him. So why can't she go and reap all the others so that nobody dies? So yeah, a lot of stuff we got left out of, but anyway. Alright, so now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, not Ruel anymore, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the backside of the desert. So here we have Moses the shepherd, the man like Moses, you're supposed to get out your checklists, if you hadn't already, and go through and find out who to look for the latter days to rescue you, to hearken to his voice, so that you will not be destroyed with the great and abominable church. And so he's in the desert, the mountain of God, goes to the top of the mountain. Everybody knows the meaning of Utah. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire. And yet God talks to him face to face. Yeah, it's not the angel of the Lord, it's Pharaoh. But he was chased out of Egypt because he murdered one of the taskmasters. Yeah, no. Again, this is not a literal history. This is apocalyptic literature using the past to talk about future events. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. Get your hands off my bush! Transformers. Hilarious. And Moses said, I will not turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. It did not happen. It was a vision. Numbers chapter 12 verse 6, how the Lord calls prophets. And so yeah, that's how he called Moses, because he's talking to Miriam and Aaron, who are thinking about forming a coup against Moses. Gee, more betrayals of Judases against their brothers. Okay. Alright, put thy soles from off thy feet. And if you get caught up on all this detailed stuff, you've lost, you're going beyond the mark. Focus on the pattern. This is a regular guy who was born in the dynasty by Pharaoh's wife, but he'd been cast out of Utah. And so he has no authority, but God gives him the authority. That's what you're supposed to get from this. You're not looking to the pharaohs of the great and abominable church to lead you. They're the false Christs, the false prophets who are trying to deceive and destroy you, subject you into bondage. And so one from out of them, the great and abominable church, is to be your hero, if you listen and give heed. Alright, and so don't get caught up on how rabbis can't properly translate the Horus I in front of Yahweh instead of the creation glyph, which is Yod, but it's Zeta in Greek. For Zeus and Yah are the same God. Alright, I am that I am, and that's all that I am. So that's an incorrect translation. Nobody understands. But he's saying the Mormons won't believe me. They won't accept my authority from you. And so God then says, okay, give them my name. Thus shalt thou say unto the Mormons, I am hath sent me unto you. The Mormons still don't believe. What name is that? Amen? What? No, it's Jesus. Jesus is our Christ. So yeah, this is confusing, because it's confusing to the Jews to this day. The Jews don't know this name. So this is hilarious. Alright, so then he's told to gather the elders of Israel together, say unto them, Egypt's about to be destroyed. So see how the pattern's right here too? Alright. And I am sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go. No, not by a mighty hand. Yep. Alright, so chapter 4. Moses complains that he won't be listened to and he won't be believed, and he's got a stammering tongue from when he put the coal in his mouth in the book of Jasher. That's part of the sign. You're looking for a Mormon who, as a young boy, put coal, hot burning coal, on his tongue and burned it. You're looking for that Mormon. So yeah, God's trying to look, you're leprous. Ah, just kidding. Oh wow, okay, I'll believe you, but I'm not eloquent. I'm slow of speech and slow of tongue. And so then Moses is the only one speaking to Pharaoh, as Aaron is now out of the picture. And take this rod with the serpent, and that's the rod of Pharaoh. So he's going to court to sue the great and abominable church. Alright, so he says goodbye to the family and go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Alright, so the lawsuit causes Pharaoh to increase the burdens on the Mormons. They get punished for the lawsuit by Moses, and trying to turn the Mormons against Moses. That's why they do this kind of stunt. And then try to extort from Moses. Oh, it's your fault, Moses, that I increased the burdens on the people. If you had just backed off and stayed silent and not dared to molest or make afraid, I would not have to increase the burdens of the Mormons. Evil is so dumb. But that's what they do. They victim blame. And so then the Lord identifies himself as Jehovah. That's not the name. That's a different name. And it's the one from the creation story of the same author. And so when you understand that they didn't use Hebrew in Egypt, that we have to translate these names into Egyptian names. Moses is Egyptian, but it's half, because the David-Moses dynasty, if you've heard me talk about that, remember, you're hearkening and giving heed. You're not just selecting and picking and choosing. And so he reminds, I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of God Almighty, but by my name Jehovah was I not known to them. Really? Amen, huh? The hidden name. And they use Jehovah instead here. which is in Genesis chapter 2, verse 4. And establish my covenant with the thigh to give them the land of Canaan, land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. People go. And the Mormons were kept in bondage in Utah. And so, yeah, Groundhog Day, remember my covenant. Interesting. Alright, so, let's see. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you in Zion and New Jerusalem, the mountain cities of the Lord that we have 2 years to build. China apparently can build skyscrapers in a day. It's just amazing. And for us, it takes decades. We just can't get anything done here in America. Too much red tape. Alright. So, verse 9 in Exodus 6, And Moses spake unto the Mormons, but they hearkened not unto Moses for anguish of spirit and for cruel bondage. See, it was working. The Mormons are blaming Moses because of what the false Christ of the great and abominable church was doing to them. He got them to attack the good guy trying to save their lives. Staying behind so that no Mormon was left behind. Go in, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt. File a second lawsuit. And Pharaoh has uncircumcised lips. Yeah, that's an interesting thing because the Egyptians, they've found documents of circumcision in Egypt. And so to refer to Pharaoh as uncircumcised in the lips, it's not about clipping the lips. It's the whole point and symbolism of circumcision, which goes back to the creation. The waters part, the dry land appears. So circumcision, cutting away the foreskin, and the crown appears. That's all symbolism, as well as sex ed. Alright, so then a genealogy of the Mormons. And Moses claims he's uncircumcised of lips. How shall Pharaoh hearken unto me? Yeah, they don't. Nope. They're in the position of authority. They will never step down because they're the true prophets of Jesus, of Constantine, because they're joining the Christian church. I did the video. They did it in the church news. Church is becoming one with Christians. They're denouncing Mormonism. They're turning into Christian. That's the hinge pointing that they told you we were doing. Alright, so in Exodus 7, Moses appointed to give the word of Lord to Pharaoh. Well done, Bruce. The Lord not Bruce Almighty, Bruce R. McConkie, the Pharaoh to multiply signs and wonders, of the Lord to multiply signs and wonders in Egypt. Aaron's rod of Oliver Cowdery becomes a serpent. The rod of Aaron, that's what it was, and it became the gift of God. And so, yes, Joseph Smith is the man like Moses, 2 Nephi chapter 3. And he gets a spokesman for him, Oliver Cowdery, who for just a month and a half, according to the corrected timeline, are able to do the work that took Martin Harris 3 months to get 116 pages done in a month and a half, as they already came out with section 4 earlier that year in January or February. Yeah, February. A marvelous work and wonder is about to come forth. It's finished. It's about done. It's going to be published. Oh, whoops. We need a cover story for Junior. Oops. Well, I'm sure the Great and Abominable Church will alter the date of section 10 so that there won't be any problems. Oh, hilarious. And so, yeah, that's exactly what they were doing. Senior turned Junior into the man like Moses. He's the Christ of Mormons, the cornerstone Christ of Mormons. And Joseph talked about a last days Christ of Mormons to come out of the Great and Abominable Church to restore the kingdom of Joseph Smith. Not to go up against America, to save America from the Great and Abominable Church who wants to destroy America. And so all this has to do with authority. A river turned to blood. Again, creation. You know, the Nile River inundation has the red land flow down into the black land soil of Kemet. That's what it means, black land. And the Nile River literally during inundation was red, like blood. And so all of that has to do with creation and the coming of the Moses of the latter days, Horus for the Egyptians. And so all this is just authority stuff. And so the magicians, way to be a anachronism-istic, to create a word using other endings for words. Magicians imitate miracles of Moses. They're not miracles, Bruce. It's authority. He was demonstrating his authority. And so Pharaoh, instead of doing it himself, had his priests do it. But the story of Jesus as a boy coming to the synagogue and impressing them with his knowledge of the Torah, that's similar to this. That's the comparable version, because the Gospels are not Gospels, they're apocalyptic literature too. They just tell it in a different manner. So, alright, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh. And so the lawsuits fail. Pharaoh had rigged the courts with Mormon sympathizers, compromised, who were supposed to recuse themselves. They refused. So the Lord then sends frogs, lice, flies. This is all part of the inundation stuff. because the Nile River, when it's inundated, it's not good. It kills. Yeah, you got the frogs that come out, and the lice that comes out, and the flies that come out from the dead. And the frogs eat the... do they eat lice, or is it just the flies? Not a concern. Don't focus on that, trying to prove that the Bible is literal history. You're missing the whole point. Chapter 9. Lord destroys the cattle. Boils and blains. And here we have stars falling from heaven, sends hail and fire upon the people of Pharaoh, but not on the church of the Lamb within the great and abominable church, the church of the devil. Whosoever hearkens and heeds, but not on people of Israel. So how many Mormons are listening? None? Oh, they put their thumbs down and ran away. Brave Sir Robin ran away. So yes, this is the Sodom destruction that you see here. So chapter 10, comes the locusts. I understand you can eat them. Why didn't the Mormons eat them? Oh God, we don't want to eat locusts. And so they sent the seagulls, which is worse than locusts. Even though the seagulls will eat the locusts, but dear God, guys, seriously, you were given a miracle of food, and instead you complained, and so you made things worse with the seagulls. But here you go, the 3 solar eclipses of the latter days. And to know the dates of those, I've already referred you to the story of Samson. 3 deaths of the Sun King for solar eclipses. One was with the lion, so the Lion constellation, 21st of August 2017. The second death was his first wife with her father. Kind of sad, but 14 October 2023. I'm predicting for you, prophesying of a future event. Are you gonna believe? Are you gonna hearken and heed? It's coming. Anybody dare to bet me? 14 October 2023. I'll even throw in it's an annular eclipse. Anybody dare to challenge me on this? And guess where it's in? Virgo. And then the 3rd day of darkness, Samson himself dies. Just like Jesus himself dies, as a sign in the heavens on a cross. I have not yet ascended. Love, my wife, we cannot have sex until the marriage supper of the Lamb at the temple on 8 April 2024. Anybody dare to challenge me on this one? The day and the hour of the latter days, the last day of the latter days, where Jupiter, who is the Sun King, is in the Lamb constellation of Aries, the Ram. I refer you to Abraham sacrificing Isaac. Messenger says, stop, you're good, here's a ram. Ram and lamb are the same word, or the same translation of the Hebrew and the Greek word, small cattle. And so Jupiter is in Aries, but the solar eclipse, as John in Revelation tells us, is on the back of Pegasus, which is Pisces. The real birth date of the Mormon man like Moses, the capstone Christ of Mormons. So, the birth date is the death date. Just like St. Patrick. His death date becomes the birth date for the Mormon last days Messiah. And so those are the latter-day dates, so that everybody can know when it is. That all generations have prophesied and foretold of those dates, the days and the hours, so that nobody can be confused of when they are to occur. China knew about 23rd September 2017, which is Revelation 12, 1 to 2, as Joseph Smith and company put in verse 5 to verse 3 to include that, as it's in the Book of Mormon that way. 1 Nephi chapter 1, Lehi's first vision in the first year of the latter days, the birth of the latter days, which was the birth of Nephi. He was not an old man already, he was not a young man or whatever, he was not alive, wasn't born. He was born that first year, and everybody misses it. And so it's not a true story because it can't be correct. A 10-year-old boy going slaying Laban and fooling Zoram to get the brass plates? Yeah, no. And yet he's unable to beat up his brothers? He's supposed to be large of stature, and he can't beat up his brothers, but he can slay Laban and fool Zoram into getting the plates. It's not a true story. And so here it is. Moses is cast out of Utah. So departing Israel authorized to ask for jewels and gold from their neighbors. Hey, can I have that? Yeah, sure, why not? And so here we go, the Purim event. Purim comes from the book of Esther, who is Ishtar, who is Asherah, who is Isis. I redid that video for you the other day. It was yesterday, it was the first one, because I started on one and it distracted away from what I intended to do, so I did the other one separate and did that one the way it was. So, had to cut off Shanti from Drew Barrymore and Hugh Grant. No, it's not Hugh. Maybe whoever he was in music and lyrics. Buddha's Delight. Dun 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 dun. Because I did a previous version of that with Shanti as part of it, and nobody cared. All right, Love Autopsy. And so, yeah, Esther learns of the plot to destroy the Jews in Persia, And Mordecai, tells her about it, that the evil man is tricking the king, Persian king, to have a weapon built to gallows to destroy the Jews. And so Esther goes in, risks her life in the presence of the king, and pleads with him, exposes the plot, and he, "Oh yes, dear, whatever you say, my dulcet darling, we will send 3 ships to the 4 corners of the earth to find the dread pirate Wesley." Yeah, the gallows created to murder the Jews became the weapon to get the false accuser, as he is murdered on it, or killed on it instead, as punishment for his trap. And so here we have that same thing here in the Exodus, that the weapon of creeping death from Metallica, awesome video that people have done using the movie versions of both the 10 Commandments and Exodus, Gods and Kings. And so I have that to watch, but if I'm doing videos to save your life, I'm not going to be able to watch it. I've already seen it. It's more accurate than the 10 Commandments. But again, it's not a literal history. But it does better to explain the cultural traditions of the people back then than the 10 Commandments. And so, yes, this is the creeping death used to destroy the Mormons, but is what destroys the dynasty of Egypt with the firstborn of Pharaoh. Now, understand, it was a theocracy back then. Religion and government combined together as one. Just like Utah. But it's not supposed to be. Nonetheless, the firstborn birthright blessing son of Pharaoh is Horus, to succeed on the throne of Osiris, who dies and goes up to heaven. That's all tied together in Egyptian. You talk about one thing, you have a billion other things that also are supposed to come to your mind as similitudes. And that's how awesome the language was. And so, I mean, literally, I do these videos and I talk about a portion of it, but there's still more. Then you get the other videos and I talk of another portion of it, and another video, another portion. And so you literally have to combine all my videos together to get the fuller understanding of the view of the Egyptians. The learning of the Egyptians and the language of the Egyptians. That's how intensive and condensed their language was. Everything was encapsulated in a single word, in a single hieroglyph. And so, with the death of the firstborn, there is no heir to the throne. And with no heir to the throne, the dynasty ends. And here Moses is saying, I'm the true Pharaoh. I'm the true successor to the throne. I'm here to restore it. And he does, according to the story. And so Passover is instituted. Just as in Moses 7. It blew my mind. But current church, as established by Brigham Young, changed succession so that now the president of the Quorum of 12 becomes the president of the church. So whenever Nelson dies, whether it's Wednesday or not, Oaks would take over. That's the process. The Salt Lake, no, was it Salt Lake Tribune or was it Deseret News, where it must have been Mormon land, so it would have been the Salt Lake Tribune, that the topic was, what if, and it's a big what if, all the prophets died off? How would the church be led? And it was right after I did the video, almost as if they are viewing my channel and not wanting to be identified. But yeah, I explained it. It's as I even corrected the church's understanding of Section 107 for succession and why only the 12 and the 70 are mentioned for the after succession. And it's because that's when Joseph Smith organized those two groups. He organized those two groups. In the Joseph Smith papers, there's a whole bunch of authority licensing or whatever it was called. And then he gives Section 107 because he's trying to now instruct them on what he just gave them authority to do. And the 12 only get to preach, and they have to stay out of an established stake of Zion. They have no authority over the church. That was a bombshell in that video I did for you. I stayed up late thinking that could be the last day I get to talk to you. I was in pain, but I got an extension. So and so to take down the church in accordance with prophecy, God has to come up with something that is creeping death, because I can't tell you because YouTube gets upset. How dare you say the name, ban medical misinformation? No, you guys are the medical misinformation, as you are banning true medical information and allowing medical misinformation. Beam and mote, but nonetheless, creeping death, according to Metallica, for the Exodus. And there's the unleavened bread of Passover. But according to this Exodus event, this is what takes down the church. Creeping death. And so it's not just Pharaoh, because here Pharaoh remains, but he has no heir to the throne, and so it can't be Nelson who remains, because Nelson just appoints new apostles, fills them up. Church continues on. And so in order for the fulfillment of Scripture, all but 6 must remain as a max because of Section 107. A majority form a quorum to do business. Without the majority, they cannot form a quorum to do business, such as appointing a new president of the church. So with 15, the church would have to lose 9 from creeping death. it going to happen? It's supposed to. But then again, we're in the middle of a tetrad. 3 die after the third one. Between the third and the fourth. Did the videos. Even corrected the information. Because it wasn't just lunar eclipses. It was also solars. Sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood. That's what that one refers to. Samson is the different solar eclipses for the latter days. The time frame. Told in story form. The days and the hours. And so then you have the lamb with the unleavened bread for the 8 April 2024. But you have to have Zion by then. They don't have Zion here. An exodus occurs to go build Zion, and the story tells us they fail. They have to wander again in Utah for 40 years. While the armies of America are in because Brigham Young sent them a death threat. Get out of my land. This is my kingdom. Stay out. No, Brigham. No. You're the bad guy. And so, yeah, this is all different types of Exodus patterns. See, with Noah, it's him and his 3 sons and their wives. So 4 couples survive the Exodus. With Sodom, only Lot and his 2 daughters. Not even the wife survived. And here you have Moses and the Exodus, of which all others are patterned after, especially in the Book of Mormon. And you have Mormons who come out after the destruction, and Zion isn't built yet. And so, like I said, 2 years, and we get to 3rd Nephi chapter 11. I did that with the Exodus pattern of the Book of Mormon. A 7-hour series. And Joseph Smith in 19 July 1840, which did not make it into our Doctrine and Covenants because Joseph referred to Brigham and the 12 as the Judas who betrayed him. Can't have that in our Doctrine and Covenants, can we? Just like we can't have women getting priesthood and priesthood office on the birthday of the coming of the latter-day capstone Messiah of Mormons. And understand, this is not for Christians, this is not for Jews even. This is not for Buddhists or Islam or any other religion. This is the Mormon religion. This is all singled out for Mormonism, the Mormon Christ of Mormons, not for the rest of the world. If they want to be saved, sure. Because Zion is the only place on earth that will not be at war. It will be the only place that is for safety, refuge, and peace. But it's not built yet. We don't have it. Mormons are refusing. They're in denial. They think Jesus is the one they're looking for because the prophets are lying to them. And they can't see that the prophets aren't good. They're calling good evil and evil good. And so, I don't know if you noticed which temple was in the background of certain pictures of myself that was taken by a woman who did not want to be my wife. But it's the bountiful temple. I saw that in retrospect and went, oh, cool. I got my Egyptian tie. Had to have that. So here we are, after the Exodus, in 3rd Nephi chapter 11. Now it came to pass that there were a great multitude gathered together of the Mormons round about the temple, which was in the land of Zion. Bountiful. They had just seen the sign in the heavens on 8 April 2024. You have to wear this special glasses or have the covers on the lenses of your cameras. You don't stare directly at it. You go blind. Which, yeah. And so, yeah, then he comes from outer space. Not real. Man descending out of heaven. That's the sign from Revelation. He's just not on a white horse. That's the only difference. And so then he says, I am Amen. Oops, nope, they put Jesus. Why? Because it's coded. You have to say Jesus, because people aren't going to make the connection with the gospel story Jesus of Christianity. If you go talk to Christians, you have to say the name Jesus. They will not understand you if you say Jehovah. For the Jews, yes, Jehovah, Yahweh, Elohim, Yah, that's what they understand. And so these are codes. So Joseph, and in the Book of Mormon, they try to get people from where they are in their knowledge and understanding, and then add into it the correct information. And Mormons instead create new word definitions. For example, charity. It's from agape, which means love. It's the higher form of love. But instead, Mormons say, oh, it's the pure love of Christ. It's a divine love that we can't have until we're exalted. I lost Kimberly over that. She was an awesome woman to date. An awesome girlfriend. And she just, nope. Charity is the pure love of Christ. It's not agape. What do you mean we're over? You're ending it over this? What are you doing? Which passage was it? Or is it Mormon? I thought it was near the end. Because I thought it was 9. And then 10. Now I'm forced to type it in. What? Oh, 4. There it is. Yeah, it is Moroni 7. I was there. Wasn't there. So it comes from 1 Corinthians 13. And everybody correctly translates it for their Christian weddings. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the only church who uses the worst translation of the Bible ever and refused to translate it correctly so that it can be the Word of God. And so here they Moroni, which is actually Mormon, I think, in this case. He's putting in the words of his father because he's still alive. He can do videos for you. If you have charity, you are nothing. Charity suffereth long and is kind, and envieth not, is not puffed up, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, and rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things. You can't believe all things, because there will be contradictory beliefs, and you have to pick one or the other or none. Hope all things, endureth all things. But charity is the pure love of Christ. They're trying to help correct the translation of the Bible. They're not coming up with a new definition of charity, which from the Greek means to give a gift. That's why charity organizations, they get donations so that they can then give to those in need, whatever their charity is. When our tax dollars should be doing the charity for other countries devastated by destruction. But the fact that our government isn't doing that requires the necessity for charity organizations, which then you get people saying, hey, this is a great idea, I'm going to start a charity and screw people over just so that I can make money. And I'll put pictures of desperate people in need, or animals in desperate need, or plants in desperate need of saving, to fool people into giving me their money. And that's what happens when the government fails the people. But nonetheless, it's agape. It's love. And so when Jesus is talking to Peter, you need to know which love is being used. Philo and agape are being used. So Jesus says, Peter, do you agape me? Peter responds, you know I philo thee. Peter, do you agape me? Yeah, I just said I philo you. Peter, do you philo me? Uh-oh. You do not understand unless you know the correct translation of the Bible, and the church will not give it to us. Alrighty. So, yeah, again, this is just a test, but I'm getting frustrated. My life is in danger. I'm expecting to be evicted by the end of the week, if not given a grace period over the weekend. The guy is a predatorial groomer. Oh my God. Did you catch that video where I told you about him? He's brand new because the previous abusers lost their jobs. But they got me. They conspired, worked real hard, got me. They stopped the main flow of my money. And so, yes, I don't know when the internet will go out. I'm assured that it'll last at least until Wednesday. But I'm still going to be evicted. But the guy, as I'm filing a complaint against the Mormon who has no concept of what pure love of Christ is, and informed the new property manager that he's put in for a reason, and so he saw it as a sign of weakness, and so he tried to say, I want to talk to you in private about this. I don't want it to be public. It's not public, it's on the email. Oh, the privacy laws. What do you mean privacy laws? You're trying to groom me. I need documentation of anything we discuss. This is a business arrangement. I need documentation. No private meetings. You need to be professional. But, yeah, I've never heard from him since. Flattering and pacifying did not indicate that he was going to do anything to the Mormon who shows no love. Mia Love showed me no love. Oh, now my eyes are open. Oh, too late, get out of here. I voted for the other guy because you blew it. I warned you to stand up against Trump when he called your homeland a bleep bleep. And you didn't do it. You cowered to him. And now you're gone. You reap the consequences of what you sowed. Just like others. And we know that destruction for the whole of America. And so is that going to be the destruction for Utah? All one and the same? Because the Book of Mormon indicates maybe. Depending on which Exodus story. But, yeah. This seems to indicate, yes, America is the Exodus event, but I won't last that long. It's not going to happen. The government refuses to even acknowledge me, let alone want to help save my life, that they're duty bound to do as their oath of office. Protecting the whistleblowers, etc. And so, yeah, if nothing happens by the time I'm forced out, and no Mormons hearken and give heed, I'm all by myself. And so the Exodus scenario becomes Ether and Moroni. So none of this 4 family couples, none of this father and 2 daughters, they're with their mother. So that ain't even going to be an option. But I worry about them, but they're gone. I have to consider them as dead. And then this one, where yes, he gets a large group of Mormons, this is what I'm hoping for. Literally. This is why I'm staying to do videos for you when I should be packing, figuring out what I can take, scanning books so that I can have them in digital format so that it's not heavy. Digital files are not very heavy compared to a book. And I was even thinking about doing videos based on the books that I scan, but no, I don't have time now. I'm still trying to warn you guys to save your lives. So this is the scenario I'm hoping for, is Moses with his Exodus, where a large mass of Mormons do go, but we learn that there are going to be unbelievers who end up going because they're compelled to go, like Laman and Lemuel. And there'll be whiners and complainers. And for this, because I know of this scenario, no, you obviously don't want to come. Yeah, you go back. Go back. Yeah, there's a pillar of salt waiting for you. You don't want to go with us. We don't want you. We cannot have you come to destroy us. So stay back. Maintain your disbelief. Live in denial. because obviously you don't care to believe. You don't want our lifestyle. You don't want our kind of safety, refuge, and peace. You want to live in your little world as you want it, but don't expect us to be your slaves. Let us go. And it won't happen. Because evil is as evil does. So, alrighty. Now to assemble these videos and shower and shave before I post it on YouTube. So, yep, still have the internet. Sure enough, they're keeping true to their word. And they're sons of God, that you may become the sons of God with having the pure love of Christ. That's the only commandment, love. All these other, can't have coffee, Mountain Dew, tea. It's in Moses 7. We can have it. That was awesome. So, alrighty. I don't want you dying, but I don't want you wicked either.